7904, joined today by the greatest DFS player in all of Saskatchewan, Canada. It's TJ Zwarich. 2 hours NBA DFS conversation, taking y'all straight up the lock. We have Andy Means. No, it's not Andy, actually. I saw the picture. It's Tim, it's Keith, and it's Roth for crunch time around 6:15, 6:20-ish or so on the East Coast. We're going to be doing a giveaway later on in the show. We've been having some fun with that. Some RG Premium, going to give away 2 individual weeks of RotoGrinders Premium. That's not just for basketball. It's all the sports. Anything DFS-wise, the exception of NASCAR, that's kind of a la carte. What's up, TJ? How are things in your world? Things go all good? We didn't really get a chance to talk pre-show. My apologies, because I jumped in late, but I assume things are well in Canada?
Things are well in Canada. There is a snowstorm where I am right now. It's snowing like crazy right now, but that's all right. I don't need to go outside. I'm just hanging in here with you. I'm recording the morning grind tonight with Stevie. I got a reality TV podcast that I got to record later, so it's not like I'm going anywhere. I'm just chilling. What are you so flustered about? Why were you late pulling up to the show?
Well, I was flustered. My day got off to a rocky start, and I've yet to recover. I don't know if you have these in Canada. Lizards? Do you guys have lizards in Canada? Are you aware of the existence of lizards?
I've heard of a lizard before. Yes.
Florida is like the Mecca, though. Like that's where they all come to. And I saw one in the kitchen, and this was like a supersized version, like a massive, like a 3X. I'm pretty sure like this guy is gonna grow up. It's like Godzilla's like origin story. This guy in the kitchen.
In the fridge.
No, not the fridge. I wish it was in the fridge. Then I know where it was. That's the problem. I don't know where it is because it got away from me. It escaped me. I was trying to get it. I was like, here, let's open this garage door and you can go outside. You can be free and like hang out with all the humidity and enjoy yourself. And he wasn't budging. I was like blasting music. He was on a rug, like kind of like I don't know, is it a rug or not a carpet? What's it called? A mat. That's the word they would use. And I eventually guided the mat over to my this door that inevitably would lead out to the garage, and you can open that thing up, and he would shoo, and I'd never have to think about it again in my life. But I missed. I kind of like hit him with the broom, and he hit the door, and then he went flying, and now he's angry. And I just hope he's not like one of these John Wick lizards. I hope he doesn't have a vendetta. I hope he didn't take that personal. I was trying to like do us both a favor. Like, he doesn't want any part of me, and I want no part of him, which is fine. It's understood. But the problem is, now I'm tiptoeing all around the house. I don't know where it is. I can't see.
I hope like hell we see it on this show. That's my dream. The lizard gets its revenge and attacks you on the show.
He also just got a 4-year, $44 million contract with the Jets. So shout out to him. This is my day, man. This is the little things, but I am flustered and I'm nervous. Any door, like, and I'm walking by anything. I'm wearing flip flops around the house. I don't know how that's like a defense mechanism, but like just in case. So that's where I'm at. Things could be worse, but that's why I've been flustered today. We have an 8-gamer today. It's kind of a repeat from last night in the sense that 6 games early, 2 games late. If you had the patience, if you held long enough, Giannis Antetokounmpo paid off, and of course he was questionable last night. Milwaukee, back half of back-to-back. They are traveling as well. They're playing 10 o'clock on the East Coast. The other game, they're playing against Phoenix. Phoenix, of course, played last night as well. Then you have New York facing off against Portland. Portland, full-fledged disaster. They essentially allegedly encouraged Lillard to sit last game. Chris Haynes, what was the word? I can't remember the word he used. Maybe it was encouraged.
But we'll see about Gilmore just got traded to the Cowboys.
Oh, is that a big deal?
I don't know.
Is he still? I guess he's still good. Well,
he's still good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I don't pretend to be the guy that's like, oh, this defensive player is just insane. He's so good, and it's going to change. I guess he's going to be good for them. I think he's still good, but I don't pretend to be that guy. I'm not the great like defense X's and O's guy. I know Jalen Ramsey's in the Dolphins. So like, does that matter? Does he still matter? I think he's still good, but I'm not sure. I don't know. What was it? 5th round pick. It's so weird. I guess that's a contract thing, right? Like 5th round pick for a guy that's supposedly still really legit. I assume he's really expensive. Is the issue here?
Darren Waller just got traded for a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, to the Giants. And that feels like it's going to be fantasy relevant. Have you heard that Aaron Rodgers might become a Jet? Have you heard the news?
All the tweets on this are hilarious, where it's like, can Aaron Rodgers please ask the Jets for a new stadium? Because they're just like, hey, they're signing Alan Lazard. Hey, they're going after Randall Cobb.
Yeah, all my friends, it's like, yeah, here's my entire crew. They got to get paid too. Like, by the way, like Aaron Rodgers sucked last year. We not talking about that? He stunk. He was terrible. From a DFS perspective, from a real life perspective, well, and now he's going to bring along the same guys. Okay, he's going to have Garrett Wilson, but this is not a football show. We'll talk about plenty of football. I'm not nearly
going back to NBA. What were you saying about Damian Lillard? Because I missed that.
Yeah, so he's questionable. Last game, allegedly, the story goes like the national reporter was Chris Haynes was talking about him, like basically the Blazers encouraged him to sit. Which the implication was basically like he probably could have played, but Portland didn't want him to go. #tanking or whatever. But also, it seems like he's going to play tonight. We'll see. He's officially questionable, as is Jeremy Grant. I was just making the point as far as last night, and I didn't get enough. Like I wanted to take a big stand, and I wimped out because Giannis was so easy to get to last night, right? And you didn't have Jokic, you didn't have Embiid. Like as far as big studs, the biggest studs, they weren't really on that. Luka, of course, not available. And I didn't get enough Giannis. And Giannis paid you off if you were patient. Tonight is kind of a similar situation, right? Well, we'll see as far as lowered. And we did get the news with Milwaukee, and I thought there was a chance that we didn't get Giannis. Giannis, of course, came back last night, was awesome. Back half, back-to-back, but it looks like it's just Middleton that's going to take the seat, which isn't surprisingly. Middleton played the entire fourth quarter yesterday, which is, his.
Don't forget Grayson Allen.
Yes, yes. Grayson Allen has a foot. So we'll just do the air quotes there. So yeah, Grayson Allen's got a foot, and maybe like Jingle and Joe Ingles or something like that, who rested yesterday, might get a few extra minutes. But Milwaukee's pretty deep. I assume Javon Carter is going to look pretty good. We can't seem to shake the Pistons. They're back. I mean, are they playing every single day? It seems. I swear. Can we just like relegate?
Pistons and the Spurs are on the slate every day.
I've had enough of the Pistons. I'm tired of watching the Pistons. I'm tired of talking about the Pistons. They do have more injuries. Yesterday, Livers was on my best lineup, I think, or one of my best lineups, and he put up like a 7 spot, which is horrendous. Yeah, he got hurt. Bagley got hurt. Bagley seems to be legit.
I don't know how I still lost a little bit of money last night, but I don't know how I salvaged an okay night, making most of my entry fees back when I had going into lock. I had 90% Naz Reid. Do you know how hard that was to fix when he wasn't even playing?
Well, yeah. Well, I assume that you're doing like the optimizer deal where you're kind of reshuffling, and I'm trying to think who we would have turned into because I had some.
It just didn't let me do it. It just didn't let me do it. And no matter how many rules I tried to break, how many rules I tried to loosen, it just wouldn't allow it to happen. So I just basically quick player swapped all of them to Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber.
Yeah, I didn't want any part of that one either. I know Wood was out, but those guys are such low usage guys.
I didn't either. It's just I didn't have a lot of choice.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Who was the guy that I kind of pivoted to? Oh, the one, the optimizer, like the kind of the lineup. I kept landing on Anderson, and I'm like, I don't want to play Anderson, and that was the play. And of course, he got a little better with Naz out too. And how about that for a switcheroo? All day long, it was Gobert questionable, and who knew anything about Naz's foot or something like that. And then Naz gets kicked out. Then I pivoted to Gobert. That's what I did, and that didn't really work out either. But daily fantasy sports. That means we care about today and today only. Forget about yesterday. Yesterday was a bad day for your boy too. Hopefully we get the W back. What's up, chat? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Let us know how yesterday went for you, because maybe you were sharper than myself. Maybe you had zero. Well, you didn't play Naz, right? You got rid of him, but just it was not.
I got rid of them all. Yeah.
Yeah. I did have some Wiseman. I did play some Wiseman yesterday, despite the fact he only played 26 minutes or so. If you look at those rotations, I know it was a blowout with Indiana and Detroit, but that was not surprisingly, that was a weird game. Really weird that Washington is favored by 13 points versus anybody in the association. But that's what happens when you take on the Pistons. We'll talk about the game in a second, but I do want to get your, overarching big slate thought process. Again, 6 games early, 2 games late, similar setup. Not as big a deal. I think Lillard's more likely to play than Giannis, who really knew last night. And of course, Lillard not playing. And there's also Jeremy Grant too, who's questionable. They're also home now. They were so embarrassed versus New Orleans the other day over the weekend. What's his name? Dropped like a 50. He had like 19 threes. Trey Murphy, ridiculous.
19 threes?
Give or take like 5. He hit a lot.
Did he break the record or did he not break the record?
No, he didn't hit 19, but he hit like 10, I think. It was a lot. Yeah, we were watching it. We were on the Sirius show, myself and Eric Bimefort. We were just kind of tilting that game, and I think neither one of us had any Murphy. At least I know I didn't, and that's how that goes sometimes.
But I had some. Well, I also lock button Najee Marshall. So
yes, that was the wild thing because Marshall took like 3 shots, and Murphy had 17 made threes, give or take 6. Take mostly, don't give. He didn't hit 23. Overarching thoughts as far as the slate, where are you at? More value, obviously.
So much value. Detroit and Cleveland just seem like the place to be tonight. I'm getting at least one of them in all of my lineups. Mostly 2 Cleveland players in every lineup. And then also just a ton of Washington today. Those 3 teams I'm just getting so much of. Currently playing it as if Damian Lillard is in, and so not getting to a ton of Blazers. But I am playing it as though Brandon Ingram is out, and so I am getting to quite a bit of New Orleans today, getting to some CJ McConnell and those same Najee Marshall and Trey Murphy that we talked about. So still waiting for a little bit of news. We need that Lillard. We need the Ingram. We need the Spurs news. But for the most part, we just have so much crazy value in these first couple games that it doesn't seem like a lot of it is going to matter all that much anyway.
Yeah, and the question, as always, but Ingram, potential revenge. He seems, I don't know. I don't think he's going to play. I agree with you. It's possible. I just don't think he plays. It's an important game for what it's worth as far as standings, right? Aren't the Lakers and the Pelicans are basically
he's been questionable all these games, but he left a game mid-game because he got hurt, and then to my knowledge, he hasn't practiced yet. And so based on that is is he really questionable?
He was in a pool. I remember reading that he was doing something, work in a pool. I don't know if that means he's close or not, or he's too far behind. They have identical records, the Lakers and the Pelicans. They're 33 and 35, currently the 9-10. So certainly this is an important game for playoff jockeying for position. Both these teams are expecting, well, I don't know, are we going to get Zion? LeBron should come back at some point. So theoretically, they will have a shot. It's not like they're like a lame duck 10. They'll at least, puncher's chance, that kind of thing. You mentioned Cleveland, of course. Donovan Mitchell is out. The people are not aware. You mentioned Washington, of course. Kyle Kuzma is out. We're expecting Brunson not to go. He's officially doubtful. The Spurs might pull some shenanigans. What do you got?
Of the initial build that I did, my top 10 highest owned players are Pistons, Cavs, and Wizards.
Pistons, Cavs, yeah. So
that's just so gross.
Yeah, but they make sense. I mean, at least if nothing else, the Wizards picking on the Pistons, good matchup, and then you have a thinned out Cleveland lineup versus Charlotte. Makes a ton of sense. We looking at 9 bodies right now for Detroit. That's if Corey Joseph goes. He's kind of old. It's a back half of a back-to-back, and he's ill. He had the fish, so they might be down to 8, which is I saw earlier today. I don't know if that's changed. Buddy Boeheim was hitting some optimals, and I almost threw up. Even the lizard next to me was like, Buddy Boeheim? What? Yeah, couldn't believe it. I'm doing some optimals.
That might have been the funniest joke you've ever made on GrindersLive, Dean. I loved that so much. That was awesome.
And it was good because I knew where he was the whole time. He had to come out of hiding, and he could not believe Buddy Ham.
The lizard beside me. Come
if
on.
I having to jump out of my chair at any point, then no, that's probably what's going on.
I want it to happen so bad. I want it to happen so badly.
The chat wants to know if the lizard has an Australian accent. I cannot confirm or deny. I don't. We're still in discussions. We have an agent. We have not officially signed anybody as far as locking in an insurance deal of some sort. The most popular player right now on DraftKings on the optimals I'm running, and again, prepare to throw up again, Magruder. I can't even get excited and do the Magruder. I can't even do it. I can't get excited about that. But 8 dudes possibly. He's going to play a pile of minutes. He's not a great fantasy point minute guy, but like he should make a couple threes theoretically. Omen Yuri, who had a lot of foul trouble yesterday. I don't think he officially fouled out, but I think he's on a 10-day, right? Kind of a castaway from OKC. Karis LeVert, no surprise. The absence of Mitchell really opens things up, and the big spend is Garland, and the other big spend is Porzingis because the absence of Kuzma makes a ton of sense. Killian Hayes left yesterday's game briefly with injury. I'm a little bit hesitant about that just because why would they push him? But like theoretically, it looks like an awesome, awesome play. And then Denny Avdia, the optimal stuff here, TJ, not to say you're being super chalky, but here you go. The teams and the optimal lineups: Detroit, Cleveland, Washington, Detroit, Washington, Cleveland. There you go. Have at it. Enjoy it. You love the chalk. You love chalk today.
Here is a fun fact about how I typically play. Let's hit the like button for some free content. Let's just make it a thing where we come in here. We don't even have to ask you. You just come in. The first thing you do when you enter GrindersLive is you hit that like button, and then we just roll with it. We're happy. You're happy. We get to talk more about basketball and then mix in some more shenanigans as well. But this is kind of how I've always done things in my tournament lineups. When I find chalk that I find is good chalk, I just try and double it. I just try and, if somebody's going to be 30%, I try and get at least 50 or 60% of them if I really like them. So today, Eugene Omarui, it's like I'm getting 72% of them. I got 53% Garland, 50% Mobley, 45% Avdia, 35% RJ Hampton. Just because I think all of those guys are going to be good plays, so I'm going to make sure I get heavily overweight on them. And when I do that, especially when those are chalky plays, especially when those are cheap plays, it allows me to get heavily overweight on a few plays on the slate that I feel really good about that aren't picking up much ownership. So one of those today, Devin Booker, he's getting about 7% ownership. I'm planning on getting about 20% of him. I'm trying to double Anthony Davis's ownership, still get 20% Beal, 20% SGA, 30% Porzingis. By getting overweight on all of this cheap chalk, it allows me to also get overweight on some studs today, both some chalky and some not.
I like that rule too, and I'm very similar actually. I'm just giving you a hard time, obviously, but I'm the same way. If it's good, and deciphering what's good and what's bad is a good conversation. Yeah, Michael in chat talking about Killian Hayes. I think he's a Pistons fan too. So not only did Hayes leave the game, when he came back, he looked bad. That's right. Like, and now he subjected myself to watching Pacers Pistons last night. I'm not sure if he dabbled in those streets. It was not good. It was not fun. But yeah, and again, that's eye test. The next day, who knows? And he just didn't look great. That doesn't mean he can't smash today. Like theoretically, he should. He should play a bunch of minutes here. But I'm just a little bit cautious on Hayes. Maybe that makes Hampton more interesting. I don't know. It's so bad though. What they have at their disposal. And what if Joseph doesn't go? Like, what if he can't go? Or what if he can only give you a few minutes? Like, I guess RJ Hampton's a really, really good play. We'll talk about that in a second. Anything else we should mention before we kind of jump in and mention the, do the game by game deal?
No, just a couple small things. Like I saw a mention in chat. Somebody just said that, like, talking about getting lots of Avdia, talking about getting lots of Magruder. Not that Magruder is really everyone you should be excited to play, but saying they have bad DVA matchups. I don't think it's important to like get perspective on those things. Like those numbers can be very valuable, but in a time like this one, like for Denny Avdia, for example, against Detroit, it's pretty irrelevant. Like Detroit's going to have 8 players today. A bunch of them have barely been in the league before. They don't have an accurate DVOA. Like it is what it is. It's a perfect matchup for Washington. They're playing a bunch of nobodies, and some of the guys we know about aren't very good defenders. It's a 13-point spread, and if he's not in the starting lineup, there's a pretty good chance he's going to close in a blowout. And so I don't like the matchup numbers are important, but it's kind of like court IQ. Like you need a sample size for it to be relevant.
We're projecting Kispert to start, who's been playing pretty well of late for what it's worth. But we've seen in the past where Kispert gets yields to Avdia, and we've seen Avdia close, but Kispert's been better. He's been improving for whatever that's worth. By the way, Porzingis for Washington is the number 1 DVA matchup, and that's one I'm not going to argue with. Porzingis is going to be reasonably popular today. That is the first game. Let's talk about it. Let's dive in. Yeah, the Wizards. How are the Wizards in the year 2023 13-point favorites Well, they're facing the Pistons. 220.5 is the total. Again, 13-point favorite. As far as Washington, Kuzma is ruled out. Fake injury? I'm not. Yeah, they gave him a knee. Taj Gibson's ill for what it's worth. He's questionable. That doesn't really matter for our purposes. Detroit, Bogdanovich it's the same deal as yesterday. No Bogdanovich, no Diallo, no Beef Stew, no Burks, no Bagley, no Ivy, and now we're adding Isaiah Livers, the starter, to that list, and potentially Corey Joseph, which again they're currently at 9. They can go down to 8. We are projecting RJ Hampton to draw the start there for Detroit in the absence of Livers. As far as ownership, it's going to be, again, these are gross plays, but you kind of have to. I don't think you can just cross Detroit out because they're all so cheap. But yeah, as far as the Pistons, we got to get this right. Ownership wise, who's popping the most for the Pistons as of right now? Things can change. Omanuri is getting 31%, Hayes getting 30%, Magruder 28%, Hampton's getting 18%, and all these guys. Well, 3 of those 4 are less than 4K on DK. Everybody else is 10% or less. I just think it's interesting. Wiseman's 6'9", that's not nice, right? That's really hard, but we've seen him pay that off before. But again, they kind of subdued his minutes yesterday. 25 minutes is the projection tonight. I need more. I thought he would get more minutes. I suppose it's possible, but I guess in tournaments you maybe get over that as far as 4%. But yeah, Pistons. Power rank the Pistons for me. Are you putting any rules in? Minimum, maximum as far as Detroit Pistons?
Yeah, a few different rules. Minimum 1, maximum 4, or minimum 1, maximum 3 Pistons I have right now. Maybe I should upgrade that to 4 though, just based on them only having 8 players available potentially. And then in terms of individual players in this one, I have a few as well. Hold on, let me find Detroit here. I got quite a few Charlotte ones and stuff, so it's a while before I actually get to Detroit. But there we go. Maximum 1 of Jalen Duren and James Wiseman. And I guess that's actually the only one I have for Detroit today, since they are so undermanned. But the biggest stand I'm taking is like 75% Omarui. He's going to be 30-ish% owned. I'm trying to get that bare minimum double that. Magruder just sort of even with. I really don't want Rodney Magruder to make or break my slate. Like, I'm not trying to figure anything out there. I'm just going to do whatever everybody else is doing. RJ Hampton, I'm likely going to be getting quite overweight too. I'm not really trying to make Buddy Boeheim happen. I just kind of feel like even if he gets 20 minutes, he might get 20. Even if he gets 24 minutes, he might just get like 7 fantasy points. And so I'd much rather go with RJ Hampton and Omarui, and then Wiseman, Killian Hayes, Jalen Duren, and Buddy Boeheim are just kind of sprinkles for me.
Buddy Boeheim, it's a small sample, but he's been fully horrendous. 30% true shooting percentage. It's just, that's outrageously bad. Again, the sample is small. 0.47 DK points per minute. That is putrid. His usage is 14% as well. I believe his dad was in the building last night watching the game. Not sure if he traveled to watch this game in Washington. I guess he's got some time. Or I don't know. Is Syracuse in the playoffs or something? I think he retired though. Don't ask me about college basketball. The biggest usage player on this Detroit team as far as their active roster is Wiseman, 21%. That's the biggest one. 20% Killian Hayes, and otherwise everybody's below 20. Omanuri at 18%. Somebody's gonna have to elevate their shots. Magruder's a 13% usage player. I guess Boeheim retired. There you go. Thank you, David, for telling me. So I guess maybe he's traveling to watch this kid tonight play more terrible basketball. Yeah. So DK fantasy points per minute. Wiseman's the best guy at 1.06. You got Hayes at 0.93. Omanuri 0.8. I really like him on DK at 3.8. Like you keep talking about 5K on FanDuel. Certainly that's playable, but not as appealing. Hampton, if you want to sort of bet against, I don't want to say it's a bet against Hayes, but I really can. If Joseph doesn't play tonight, Hampton can just play a ton of minutes. 0.8 DK points per minute. Can distribute, can shoot a little bit. I'm going to like him at 3.3. He's fine as is, but can get even better if Joseph sits. And how about the run back as far as Washington? Like Porzingis looks like one of the best studs as far as this slate. Super obvious. He's going to get a fair bit of ownership as well. How do you have the Wizards tonight? Let's see, ownership-wise as far as the Wizards. Yeah, Porzingis 32%. You miss an Avdia, 24%. Beal at 19, Kispert at 18, Morris at 14. Gafford at 9 is interesting. That seems kind of interesting. I know he's a center and center only, and those spots are precious. There's an opportunity cost, but I think he can put up like 12 and 12 in some stocks against Wiseman. I don't know if that's good enough, but 4-6, pretty good price. Your thoughts as far as the Wiz?
I like that a lot, especially because we know the Detroit often plays with two bigs. So if this one's staying somewhat close, these guys are duking it out. I feel like there's a good chance Gafford sees extended minutes, stays in that closing lineup. And I could see a really big game for him today. So I like him a lot in tournaments. I don't mind a little Monte Morris in tournaments. Definitely getting underweight to Kispert. That's the player that I'm kind of not full fading, but only getting to like 5-8% of today, trying to get at most half, so that I can get even to Buell and Porzingis, and then I'm getting quite heavy overweight to Denny Avdia.
Yeah, 25 points in the bucket last game for Kispert against Philadelphia. Played 33 minutes off the bench, in better form, but you're super reliant on him making that shot. Obviously, wanted to see appease those that are playing on Fanduel as well. See if there's anything interesting or any sort of outliers as far as ownership over there. Let's see. 46% Porzingis. Man, that is a huge number on FanDuel. Fully justified, but that's a really big number for an 8-gamer for a big spend. I totally get it. Hayes 30%, Morris 28%, Oman Yuri 27%, and Avdia 23%. Any thoughts there? Any final thoughts as far as this game? I don't believe this is a game you can skip. I think you're supposed to get some pieces here.
I agree completely. I don't think you can skip it. I think you need pieces. But I mean, we also did say that about the Indiana game the other day, the Indiana-Detroit game, and you basically could have skipped the Indiana side. So
yesterday? Did every
2 days. Was it 2 days ago or yesterday?
That was yesterday. I know it's all blur, but it was yesterday. I want to forget it too.
It was just Nembhard like 5 or 6x, and Isaiah Jackson got like 25 fantasy points. You didn't need them when they were the kind of mega chalk. So even though it feels like you need it, maybe you don't. I'm personally going on the route though that I'm going to have it though. I'm going to have at least one Detroit player in every lineup. Omaru is going to end up being my highest owned player, and I'm getting to a ton of Wizards as well.
Michael wants to know, you're running back Detroit players with KP, or do you think you will feast even if Detroit guys fail? I feel like organically you're just going to have some Pistons, right? Like, I don't know if I have to force that run back. I think it's just going to happen.
If I wasn't already getting a buttload of Pistons, maybe that wasn't the best unit of measurement for a show, but if I wasn't already getting just a ton of Pistons, then I'd probably make that rule. But because I'm getting at least one in every lineup anyways, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we're doing a Discord giveaway. We've been doing this. Did it last week. Did it earlier this week, I believe, as well. You do it on occasion. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump in the live stream chat channel. Doing it at 6 o'clock. We're going to be giving away 2 individual 1-week free RG Premium, and that you get the optimizer, you get the projections, you get all the premium articles, the premium content, all the sports, any sport you can think of as far as DFS that's in season. If you're playing some XFL, you're playing some golf, some MMA, all that good stuff. We're doing it a little bit different today. I didn't get a chance to hear. We're doing something with a wheel and a name. TJ, you can give the people some details, right?
I mean, yeah, it's not as complex as you make it seem. People are just gonna say their names in Discord, and then Steve is gonna take the names down, put it in a randomizer, and then he's gonna screen share it.
All right. Producer Devin likes his numbers. Producer Steve likes his names. That's what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, yes.
All right. Yeah. RotoGrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. There are some premium channels, of course, for premium members, but you just need a regular RotoGrinders membership. Doesn't cost you anything to jump in there, participate, say your name, and then, hopefully you get yourself a free week of RG Premium. Doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, doing that at 6 o'clock. Cleveland takes on Charlotte. 218.5 is the total. Cleveland is a 6-point favorite here. Jarrett Allen has an eye, so he's not playing basketball tonight. And the other big one, of course, is Donovan Mitchell. They just ruled. Did they give him a body part? Not sure, but he's not playing basketball tonight. Charlotte, same deal with them. LaMelo's donezo for the year, unfortunately. No Mark Williams, therefore Nick Richards is still the starting 5 for Charlotte. Kelly Oubre should be good to go with his back. They only have 10 players at this point. I think we saw DSJ start last game because Oubre was a late scratch, right? Or he's downgraded significantly late. But yeah, Cleveland and Charlotte, this is another team, another game I don't think we can ignore. Feel free to start with the Cavs. How much Cavs is too much Cavs?
I think 4 is the most Cavs that I'm going to be getting to, but I do have at least 2 Cavs in every single lineup today. Evan Mobley and Darius Garland are both going to be in half of my lineups. Lamar Stevens and Karis LeVert are both going to be in 40% of my lineups. And then I'm also trying to get to a little bit of Chetty Osman. I think I got about 25% Ricky Rubio. I'm just trying to get to an absolute ton of these Cavs today.
You mentioned Lamar Stevens at 40%, and we talked about good chalk and bad chalk. I think he's bad chalk.
He's just probably going to play like at least, like we have him projected for 29 minutes right now. I think he plays 36, 37.
You think we're off by 7 or 8 minutes?
Just who else is going to play?
I mean, Okuro's getting 29. You can get a few more. Jetty Osman can get a few more. Dean Wade is another big. Theoretically, they can run him out there.
It could be Wade. Wade would be the only other guy that I could see making him fail. But they're either going to go to they're either going to go and use Wade, or I feel like he's the only other kind of 4 that they can throw out there. If PJ Washington is out there as the 4 for Charlotte, Dean Wade and Lamar Stevens are kind of the only 2 players that they could have out there guarding him, I think, unless they close with Osman.
Michael in chat's got me thrown off because I appreciate that participation, but Michael was saying the previous game, only Piston you need to play is Hayes, only Wizard you need to play is Morris and Porzingis. Okay, I'll take umbrage with that. We can move on. It says no Cav players. You don't need any Cav players, and the only player you should play in this game is Gordon Hayward. I take umbrage with this one. I take umbrage. I fully disagree. How do you not like Darius Garland tonight? How do you not like Karis LeVert tonight? What am I missing? How do you not like Evan Mobley in this matchup? Again, feel free to chime back, and this isn't me picking on anybody, but what am I missing? Why would one not like Darius Garland or Karis LeVert or Evan Mobley, or even like Ricky Rubio? I know you like Ricky Rubio. He's a better play than Lamar Stevens. I know it's a different position. That's probably the reason why you like Stevens more than Rubio, just filling that small forward spot over the point guard spot. But you were talking before, and I got fully thrown off because I was reading the chat. So you probably said something I'm going to ask you again. But if you were to rank or prioritize your Cleveland guys, I know you said 40% Stevens, and that threw me off too, because for me that's too much. He's just a terrible usage player, and he does not get a lot of fantasy points. But like you said,
you have scared me off of that amount, and I just put a cap at max 25%.
Don't hold me accountable to that one. Feel free to do it.
If he breaks the slate, you have to PayPal me $1,000.
1,000. I will PayPal you 1,000 Turkish lira. I'm not going to PayPal you 1,000 American dollars. Maybe a couple loonies and toonies. How about that? I don't know what
I will settle for 1,000 Canadian dollars.
I don't know what the exchange rate is just yet. Nick in chat's asking about the RG Sirius show. The times kind of sort of jump around, but typically 3 to 5 Saturday and 7 to 9 on Sunday. It's not the best DFS time, to be perfectly honest, but we're usually previewing the Saturday slate or whatever's going on DFS wise on Saturday. And on Sunday, we're usually just kind of tilting the games that are going on, talking about live bets, player props, things like that. Feel free to join us. It's a good time. Other Cavs how deep are you willing to go as far as the Cavs? I mentioned Rubio. I don't know if you mentioned Rubio. I know you've several days ago you thought he was interesting. He's a guy that maybe gets a little bit of extra run. Maybe he gets, I don't know how much blowout time he gets, right? Because it's Ricky Rubio and he's got, old knees and ACLs and the whole deal. So maybe you shouldn't push him too hard. So he probably doesn't mop up. They have Hollandetto for that, right? I'm trying to think of beyond. Jetty Osman, is he somebody that you would consider? Or is that too ambitious in this slate?
No, I think we can sprinkle in Osman running 150. I just made a rule. I just put it into that I'll play 1 to 3% Dean Wade. I'll just get Dean Wade in one of my 150 lineups just in case this game gets ugly and he plays 30 minutes today. But I'm willing to go fairly deep on this Cavs team just because I'm going to get I have 65% Darius Garland. I have 45% Evan Mobley. I got 40% Karis LeVert. So if these guys fail, that probably means that these backups had a pretty good game. And so that's why I'm willing to take some shots on these backups, get 25% Lamar Stevens now, get 10% Ousmane, get 2% Dean Wade, just because I'm getting so much of the starters.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at, fantasy points per minute. That's kind of what I was talking about as far as Stevens. 0.65 on the year for DK, 0.66 on FanDuel. Not a shooter either. 14% shooting is for true shooting. I'm sorry, for usage. Dean Wade, by the way, 10% usage. That's just, man, that is unappealing. He's got to get there through different routes or just be super, super efficient on his 4 shots he happens to take. What about Charlotte? I'll tell you what's interesting about this game is, like, if it does stay close, and it certainly can, I know the pace isn't great. Cleveland plays super slow, and Cleveland plays good defense, so it's not the best matchup in the world. But you do know, like, we're gonna have really condensed rotations on the Charlotte side, barring goofiness. They're down to 10 players as well. I assume we're gonna have pretty condensed rotations if this game is close. Charlotte, we talk about the tankathon all the time. They are essentially locked in their spot. They're the 4th worst team, and then they're not moving. That is what it is, unless they feel otherwise. They're not gonna. San Antonio is the 3rd worst team, and they have 17 wins. Charlotte's got 22. The season's not long enough. That's not changing. And Orlando's got 6 wins in them in the 5 spot. So Charlotte's in the 4, and that's that. So theoretically, they should be trying. It is a home game too. What are your thoughts as far as the Hornets? Do you love Gordon Hayward as much as our chat member does?
No, I definitely don't love Gordon Hayward that much. So, like, what I do like about Charlotte today is that no one is playing them. Yeah. Nobody's playing Charlotte today. And so Terry Rozier, I think, is a very strong tournament play. Kelly Oubre and even Gordon Hayward, I do think, are in play in tournaments. Same with a PJ Washington. Sorry about that. I had to mute quick for a dog bark, and I forgot I was talking. Have we ever had that before? Somebody mute while they were talking and just keep on talking?
That is, I thought my internet gave out on me. I thought that I heard the
no. That is next level foolishness. And so because nobody's playing them, I think Rozier is a strong tournament play. Oubre and Hayward, Washington, they're fine. And Nick Richards is the only one anybody's getting to today, but he's not high enough owned that I would worry about not getting to him.
Yeah, like you said, the ownership, 12% is the biggest number on DraftKings as of right now, and that's Richards. Rozier at 6%. I mean, you got to pay full freight for Oubre, but 2% ownership is our current projection at 7.6K. Washington at 5%, and the Gordon Hayward at 7K is getting 1% ownership. I think DSJ is kind of interesting. He's a guy that, if you just do the math, right, TJ, let's say this game gets ugly just for funsies. He's closing. He has to. Right, there's only 10 bodies, and it's going to be DSJ and McGowan's and Jones and Thor and Svi, right? Like, so he's blowout proof, and he's also a guy that could possibly close, depending on not guaranteed, but there's a route, there's a path. I think DSJ is kind of sort of somewhat interesting. But anything else of note here, or shall we move on?
No, I think we can move on. I think that's a good point about DSJ. I got him in about, like, it's one of those things too that, and you do this all the time to me, and so I don't feel bad that I was almost about to do this to you.
Call me
but out. I was about to be like, DSJ, I don't know, but it's like, I love DSJ as like a 3 to 5%er today, and that's triple 5 times the field on what he's going to be, right? And so it's one of those types of plays that I think it's a great sprinkle inner. Don't go in heavy and be like, this is a great play for single entry, because I don't think it's that. But I definitely think it's a great play for if you're MMEing, mixing them into your pool.
You're right. I will call you out if you're talking about the 12th man on a guy that's like, maybe he plays 20 minutes, and that's kind of sort of what this is. But also, my point is, like, their roster is so thin, and like, if this game gets ugly, he's going to just take on the second units. He'll be taking on Howell Neto out there. And I'm not saying the game's going to get ugly, but it might. It certainly can. It's possible. I'm just trying to think what kind of rules you'd have with him, because maybe you wouldn't play like 3 starters on Cleveland against him. Just a thought. But it's possible, again, he can kind of sort of eke his way into the closing lineup and be good, and this game is close as well. Denver, Toronto, 227 is the total. Denver is a 1-point dog here. They've been scuffling. I feel like they've lost, 2 or 3 in a row. We don't know about Jamal Murray. Possibly Reggie Jackson. More likely Bruce Brown would jump in the starting lineup if Jamal Murray doesn't go. Toronto is fully healthy. Fully healthy team. Don't really want to pick on Denver generally. So ownership-wise for the Raptors, I believe it's really low. Pulling it up right now. So the biggest ownership number for the Raptors we're seeing is Scotty Barnes at 11%. Pascal Siakam at 7%. He's taken a hit with the arrival of Pirtle. And Pirtle, I believe, was really good in this matchup not too long ago and basically matched the minutes with Jokic. I want to pull that up in a second. I think he's interesting too. I know there's a little bit of sticker shock, but they're giving him a ton of run here in Toronto. I'm buying some time. I'm saying some words, TJ, as I'm pulling up the game against Denver. Yeah, so he played 32 minutes against Denver, almost dropped that double-double, put up 38 DK points, and he's up to 7K and opportunity cost at center, yada, yada. But I do think he's interesting for tournaments. I'm not really seeing Toronto's any priorities, though. And Denver's side is like always Jokic, of course. If Murray doesn't go, I guess Bruce Brown, but he's 5'1" anyway. And if Murray goes, he's interesting. Otherwise, this game is not terribly interesting, as far as priorities. You tell me otherwise.
I like Jokic quite a bit. He's somebody I'm trying to get over the field on, and it's not going to be too difficult with him coming in sub 10% today. Outside of him, like Jamal Murray is the only other Denver player I have in my pool. I like your Jakob Poeltl call. He is my highest owned Toronto player by 1% over Fred VanVleet today. Then I just have the smallest sprinkles of Barnes and Siakam, and that's it.
Yeah. When you say highest owned, what is he, 7%, 6%?
8% for Poeltl and 7% for VanVleet.
That's what I figured. That's kind of where I would probably be as well if I was running a bunch of lineups also. But this is mostly is a catch me up game. I guess, how much are you prioritizing Jokic? I think I saw you write this in chat. Is he currently on your single entry team? Of course, you reserve the right to change your team around, an hour and change until lock and news can drop. But he's currently your center for single entry?
He's currently my utility for single entry, but that's definitely going to change just because that lineup also has Anthony Simons in it. So Jokic could end up there, but that was like a first look. I made that this morning thinking Lillard might still be out. And so if Lillard's out, maybe that is the team I end up rolling with. But as it stands right now, I might do some. I'll probably be doing some adjusting. I got the start of it. That what I will say is kind of my cores that I'm making sure I get in are Garland, Hampton, Avdia, Omarui. Those are kind of the 4 players that I'm starting my lineup with, and then seeing where things go from there.
Do want to mention, if you don't want to mess with guys that are in, guys that are out, all that kind of stuff, have you considered playing on Stat Hero? In case you aren't aware, Stat Hero, it's a unique fantasy sports platform that allows users to compete only against the house and not other players in a contest. You're not going to compete against TJ or those in chat that love Gordon Hayward necessarily. You participate head-to-head style contests where Stat Hero provides a lineup that you have to beat with your own, as well as pick'em style contests. You should also check out the Big Dime League. That's a season-long leaderboard NFL contest with up to $50,000 in prizes. You can also enter season-long stuff going on there. I'm not sure I feel like I might have got the old read here, Steve. I'm fairly certain the NFL is in the off season, but there is oh, you know what it is? Yep. Well, we'll get the read later. We'll settle that out, I suppose. But hey, if you want to play on Stat Hero, we have a nice, sweet, fat deposit bonus for y'all. Use the deposit bonus Grinders. That's GRINDERS. 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Jump into the action today at Stat Hero. Again, Grinders, GRINDERS. 50% deposit bonus up to $250. We do want to move on and talk about the Nets. The Nets are taking on the Thunder. 233 is the total. Thunder happen to be 2-point favorites here as far as who's in and who's out in this one. Well, we get SGA back from his back-to-back rest. Otherwise, standard lineups. No Kenrich Williams. We're not going to see Poku, I don't think, anytime soon. Brooklyn is fully healthy unless you want to say Ben Simmons, but we've not seen him for a while. We're probably not going to see him for a while. Your thoughts as far as Brooklyn OKC?
Stat Hero is a unique fantasy sports platform that allows users to compete against the house instead of players in a contest. With head-to-head style contests as well as pick'em style contests, you can also play in their new Searing 12 contest for a chance at 10K. Play and win to start your streak. Keep your streak alive by playing each day. Build your streak and win prizes with consecutive wins, including swag, RG Premium, and the cash prize of $10,000. Use promo code GRINDERS for a 50% deposit bonus up to $250 and jump into the action today.
That is a different read than I had. thank you, TJ. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm not going to sit here and name names. But yeah,
that was one of the best ad reads I've ever done. So let's hit the like button. We got almost 300 people watching now. Take your mouse, slide your finger over, click the button. If you're watching on your phone, press hide chat, then hit the like button. Let's bump it up here, people. This is a great show. We've been crushing it so far.
Sorry, I'm reading a tweet about Quentin Tarantino's final film. Apparently, it's
just as I say we're crushing it, you drop the ball. Talk about Quentin Tarantino.
Can he stop with this? He has to have 10 movies and only 10. He can only do one more, and that's that. Okay, but it's his life. He wants to do what he wants to do. Hey, I threw it to you as far as OKC and Brooklyn. Give me the analysis there with the Thunder and the Nets.
This, to me, is kind of like the toughest game on the slate because it has, I think, the highest chance of just going wonky, the highest chance of just being totally useless halfway through this game. But at the same time, SGA, Mikal Bridges, Spencer Dinwiddie, even Josh Giddey and Jalen Williams could be slate-breaking plays. And so that's why it's so tough, is because with two tanking teams that have a history of shenanigans, we can't really be certain what these two teams are going to be doing. So they scare me, they worry me, but these are also some of the highest upside games on the slate. For OKC, I'm trying to stick with the big three. I got about 25% SGA, trying to double that today, and then just sprinkling in small amounts of Jalen Williams and Josh Giddey. And then from the Brooklyn side, I'm basically just trying to get 10-ish% of these guys: Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Nick Claxton.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's fair to call these two tanking teams. For the record, I disagree with that assessment.
Not two tanking teams. Sorry, Brooklyn is in the playoffs, but they're just kind of chilling and like throwing things for a loop every other day. So like we don't like they're a 5 seed or whatever they are, and they're what's the opposite of favor? They're underdogs against OKC.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you're right, not a tanking team as they are in the 5 seed, but they are prone to a lot of shenanigans.
Well, the other thing is Brooklyn has a lot of guys that like just game flow stuff. They have like 19 different 3-and-D players where it's really hard to predict who their closing lineup's going to be. Is Royce O'Neal going to close? Maybe, maybe not. Is Joe Harris going to close? I guess that's possible. Seth Curry, sure. If he gets hot from 3, why not? And it's possible DFS starts and plays 22 minutes, right? So they have a lot of similar players, a lot of moving parts. And that one game, obviously, was at the front half of a back-to-back 3-4 against Milwaukee. And they threw that game. But that, again, they're just sort of like just kind of waiting out the rest of the season. And OKC kind of can't really make up their mind if they want to get involved in the playoff nonsense. They're right on the fringe, right on the outside looking in. I think they're the same record as the Lakers and New Orleans, but I guess tiebreaker stuff has them outside. But yeah, and of course they're sitting SGA. But SGA's going to play.
I know you're always team like if it's close, let's tank. But if I'm OKC, because of the obscene amount of picks they have in the future, anyways, and the amount of really good players that they already have with Chet Holmgren not still coming, and the SGAs and the Josh Giddeys, I would consider shooting for the playoffs if I'm them, just for the purpose of getting these young guys playoff experience because they have so much to build upon in the future anyways. But if not this year, then I'd for sure want to do that next year. I would still consider the tank this year, but I think next year is when you just start going for the playoffs, not because you think you're winning the championship this year, but because these guys need some playoff experience. We're less than 10 minutes from our Discord giveaway. So while we're asking you to hit the like button on YouTube, if you want to be in the Discord giveaway, also hop into the RG Discord live stream chat, hit the thumbs up, the like on Steve's message in there. And if you do, you are entered to win the Discord, and we're going to be pulling it up on the screen in a screen share in about 10 minutes here. So join our free Discord server. Participate in our hashtag live stream chat for your chance to win free prizes. And it's rotogrinders.com/Discord.
I saw Rad Dad in chat talking about American sports introducing relegation. I think it's an awesome concept and a fun concept like they have over there in Europe, the Premier League, but it's so hard to make work. I don't think it can work in this country, unfortunately, for a multitude of reasons, financial reasons. But it's a fun thing to follow. And yeah, if we did, I would love to relegate the Pistons. I don't know. We're going to call up like the Grand Rapids, whatever they're called. I don't know how that would work. Or can we get rid of the Oakland A's and call up the Savannah Banana Slugs or whatever they're called? I don't know if that's a thing we can do either in Major League Baseball, but in theory, it's a fun idea. Yeah, less than 10 minutes to hit so all you got to do is hit the thumbs up. I thought you had to say your name there. You got to hit the thumb and you're good to go in the Discord?
Well, he hits the thumb and then he sees the names there who has hit the thumb, and then that's how he enters them into the randomizer.
All right, there you go. Producer Steve jumping on in about 7 or 8 minutes. We're going to give away 2 individual weeks free of RG Premium. One week to one person, one to another. The price in SGA still seems way too cheap. I think he's getting punished for getting rested in these games. He's not a 9.4K player in my estimation. I think he should be a 10K player, so he's a really, really good play. And at 12%, I love it. I will have more than that. Mikal Bridges, the price is kind of caught up with him. We know he's the big usage guy on the Brooklyn side. Clearly, again, jump from the 3rd or 4th option on Phoenix to the number 1 guy in Brooklyn. No issues with Bridges. I don't love much else. I think Dinwiddie's fine. Jalen Williams is awesome. Like, I saw somebody on Twitter say like they wouldn't be surprised if he's like the best rookie from this rookie class when all the dust is settled. Like, he looks great. And like when you think about the pieces for this OKC team, like for the future, like Holmgren, if he's something, if they get something in this draft coming up, obviously SGA, Dort's a good 3-and-D guy, or at least a good D guy, if nothing else. OKC's got a bright future until everybody wants to leave and their contracts up. They want to get an OKC, but the window is there. And I think this Williams is awesome. He's 7'2", though. You got to pay for him. Your favorite play in this game, is it SGA as well? That's where I'm at.
Yeah, it is SGA. Adjusting my single entry lineup now, just kind of mixing things around, and SGA is the guy that I wanted to get in there. He's currently the only one in that lineup not from Washington, Detroit, or Cleveland.
Should we move on here? I don't think there's much else we should talk about in this game. We have 4 more to go. Crunch time team coming in about 20 minutes or so. Plenty of time to knock this out. But there's not much else analysis-wise as far as Brooklyn and OKC. If you think you're going to get on the right end of minutes of guys like Royce O'Neal or DFS, by all means, sure. But to me, I don't think I'm playing any of them. Maybe Dinwiddie. Bridges, my favorite player. He's going to cost you. I don't think I'm getting to Claxton. OKC is really vulnerable to rebounds. I believe they're the worst rebounding team in the league as far as yielding the most boards to opponents, if not worse, like they're on the podium. I've not checked that number in the last couple of days, but we can move on, right? I think so.
We can move on, but I'm not going to move on from telling people to hit the like button until we get over 100. And if you're annoyed about it, don't blame me. Blame capitalism. I have to ask for it. We need these likes. Blame capitalism or just hit the like button so I have to stop asking about it. We got 300 people watching. It should easily be 150, but I'll be satisfied over 100. Let's move on to the next game.
I feel like you have to grit your teeth when you're shouting out capitalism. We can move on from that, but I just
free healthcare. Anyways,
Orlando versus San Antonio, 232.5 is the total. Orlando is a 5-point favorite here. Franz Wagner, one of the brothers Wagner, is currently questionable. He's got an ankle. San Antonio playing games again, and not really sure why. Maybe they're legit injured. I don't know. I think Trey Jones, he's still sick, I guess. Romeo Langford's out. Birch is out. Branham got hurt last game to the start last game. So let's see. Who are we currently projecting? Devontae Graham and Vassell, as well as big body Keldon Johnson and Jeremy Sohan to start with Zach Collins. But last game, Keldon Johnson didn't play. Sohan didn't play last game either. I believe this is the front half of a back-to-back for San Antonio. So maybe they do like, tonight is Keldon, tomorrow is Jeremy, not sure. But I think we're going to get some sort of shenanigans with the Spurs. And we don't know about Wagner. Good matchup, obviously, for Orlando. San Antonio, if not the worst defensive team in the league. They're also on the podium, sitting right next to the Pistons. We have a what if. Let's see if we can pull that up. I'll yield to it in a second. As I pull that up, I will throw it to you. Your thoughts as far as the Spurs, and I guess Orlando, a team I don't really play a lot, but I have a little bit more interest than usual as far as the Magic this evening.
Another one of those games so similar to Brooklyn and OKC where it's like, I would love to just be able to X most of this one off because of the potential shenanigans, but I don't think I can. There could be tomfoolery left, right, and center, but this also could just be a close game with two bad defenses and the starters playing big minutes. And if that happens, they're probably going to go off. And so on the Orlando side, Banchero, Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr., all of them are strong plays. Carter Jr. is the one that to me is going too highly owned. 18% for Wendell Carter Jr. That's a little bit too much for me. I'm trying to stake in like the 5 to 10% range, but Banchero and Fultz that I like. And then we've recently had random Cole Anthony chalk nights that it really doesn't make any sense for him to be chalk. And today he's projecting for 1% ownership. And especially if Franz Wagner happens to be out there, are actually pretty good reason for him to be higher owned than he should be. And he's coming in at sub 1% ownership. So I think Cole Anthony is a very strong play for tournaments. He's got a low floor, but he also has a really high upside. We're 2 minutes away from that Discord live stream giveaway. So make sure you thumbs up Steve's message over there to get in before it's too late.
Yeah, you increase your percent of winning by 300%. Research shows if you hit the like button, you're a 300% chance increase of winning the random drawing. Banchero would get a boost in the absence of Wagner. That's Franz Wagner, currently questionable, all the way up to 41 DK points, 40-ish on FanDuel. Jalen Suggs would get a boost up to a 30-point projection on DK. So he would see the most significant boost. I believe he would jump in the starting lineup, projected for 33 minutes. Wendell Carter. There was a quote by the coach thrown out there that they're going to have his minutes monitored or something like that going forward. And I believe he played 41 minutes versus Miami. So shout out to that. Shout out to lying. Well, it was an overtime game, but still, come on. We're monitoring minutes.
Shout out to lying.
I mean, that's just how that goes down sometimes in the NBA.
Spot on humor from you today, Dean. Spot on.
Say it again.
Spot on humor from you today.
You know what? I'm fired up. What did I watch last night that I was inspired by it? What did I watch? I watched something different. No, I was watching You. Yeah, there you go. You watched the series You on the old Netflix?
I haven't. No, we have some reviews for it up on agentsofandom.com from other writers, but I haven't personally dived in. I obviously just finished up The Last of Us. If you haven't watched it, make sure you check that one out. It's amazing. But the one I'm watching screeners for right now actually is a show called Shadow and Bone. Season 2 of that is coming out on Netflix later this week. I like that one quite a bit. It's like a fun adventure series.
I've not seen that, but yeah, obviously watch The Last of Us. I'm playing that now too. Actually, I'm getting in. Nobody cares. The side content, whatever, the additional content.
Let me know. Yeah. Let me know when you start The Last of Us Part 2, because maybe I'll just start playing that one at the same time, because I've finished Part 1, but then I haven't dove into Part 2. But we got the wheel of Discord up on the board. It's multiple colors. It looks really cool. I see some familiar names in there, some not so familiar names in there. Good job, everybody, getting it in. Steve, let's spin that wheel.
No more bets. No more bets. Wait, what? Oh, that was
double M squared. Just by the closest margin. Congratulations, double M squared. You win a free week of RG Premium. We got one more spin to go. Let's spin that wheel to see who our second winner is, Steve. I think we do. I hope we do. It was still
Derek in chat says no whammies. Do you get that reference?
Yes.
All right, good. I'm happy.
Friend of the show, Carolina guy 828. Congratulations. You are our second winner. Big money, no whammy, no whammy. Stop!
There you go. Look at you. You're all over it. Press your luck. Okay, 15 minutes till we yielded a crunch time. We got more games to go. Did want to mention, we talked about Keldon Johnson potentially being out. We talked about Soham potentially being out. If Keldon doesn't go, our projections really, really like Devontae Graham. He would spike up to a massive DK value, a nice FanDuel value as well. 33 FanDuel point projection, 35 DK point projection. a 17% point change. Blake Wesley would get some run. Like, I don't know if you need him necessarily, but his projection would be around 21 or so for basically a stone min player. There's a ton of value on the slate, so I don't know how useful that is, but potentially that could be useful. As far as other boosts, let's see, the biggest change would be KBD up to 22. That's not terribly interesting. Collins in the mid-30s, 34, 33. He's certainly in the pool. Your thoughts, and that's if Keldon's out. I should mention, do we have both or just Keldon? We just have Keldon. We don't have anything to do with Sohan. But Alan wants to know Levert or Graham. I think Graham might be better if Keldon and Sohan are out, but I'm not sure if we're going to know that at 7 o'clock. You have a thought on that?
That's exactly how I feel as well.
Yeah. So it's a risk reward deal, I suppose. But like, I think Levert is quote unquote safer, but if you want to risk it, Graham can get significantly better. Any other thoughts as far as the Spurs, or shall we move on?
No, I think we can take it to the next one.
Lakers, Pels. We don't know about Brandon Ingram. You said earlier that you're actually not going to be playing him, or you're building as if he's not going to play. And I think it's more likely than not he doesn't play. Just a guess. That's where I'm at as far as guessing.
Jamal Murray will play.
Okay, so that hurts the ceiling a little bit of Jokic, I suppose. Murray, you can play, and I'm not going to play Bruce Brown or even consider like guys like Reggie Jackson. I think it's either Murray or Jokic and basically nobody else on Denver. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly how I have it.
Davis is probable with his foot. We've seen his usage kind of jump around. He had a terrible usage number the other day. That's because D'Angelo Russell shot a bunch. Ingram is currently questionable for New Orleans. Alvarado's got that leg, so he's not going to play. Of course, there's no Zion. In the absence of Ingram, I believe we have an if-then for this one. Let me just kind of sort of scroll up on our what if. One of the things you get for free is the what if you happen to have RotoGrinders Premium, if you happen to win it 5 minutes ago. Biggest change would be Najee Marshall. Despite the fact he was terrible last game, we're giving about a 30-point projection on him if Ingram doesn't go. Yeah, your thoughts as far as the Lakers and the Pels?
Like you mentioned before, I'm playing these Pelicans as if Brandon Ingram is going to be out. So I'm projecting Najee Marshall for 32 minutes. I'm projecting Trey Murphy, and I don't know why I always want to call Trey Murphy Troy Brown, but I always call I got Trey Murphy and Herbert Jones projected for a few more minutes, a few more fantasy points. But the one I'm trying to get to the most here is going to be CJ McCollum. I'm treating him as one of my favorite studs on this slate, even though he's only 8K. He's the one I'm trying to get to the most. And on the LA side of things, D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis are both guys I'm trying to get to in tournaments. But other than that, I'm basically ignoring this whole team.
You just said, dogs are barking. I'm going to give myself 3 seconds and finish this up like a pro.
There's only 2 of them in my pool, so it worked out well. I knew the dogs were going to bark at that time.
12% ownership for Davis on DK is kind of low. Russell at 10%. We've seen his ceiling games of late. And you say you want to call Trey Murphy Troy Brown. I want to call Trey Murphy Troy Murphy for no reason. Similar name, not a similar game.
I think that's where it comes. I think that's where it comes from for me, is like the Troy Murphy thing. Then I want to say Troy, and then I say Troy, and the first thing that comes out is Brown.
Yeah, Troy Murphy, former Knick, former Warrior,
former Pacer.
Yeah, former Pacer as well. McCollum would get a boost for what it's worth if Ingram doesn't go. Got a revenge game here for Anthony Davis. Certainly not a first blood revenge game. If you think revenge is a thing, there you go. I wanted to see if we had how much does CJ. Yeah, so CJ would get a projection of 44 DK points, 42-ish on Fanduel. So he would certainly become one of the better plays in the slate if Ingram doesn't go. Again, this is 8 o'clock. I think it's 8 o'clock, right? Yeah, 8 o'clock. Will we know about Ingram? Not really sure. Don Yeezy's talking about favorite spend up in the slate. Yeah, I'm curious your favorite spend up. Jokic is certainly one you can get to. I think Porzingis is an awesome spend up. Garland, I think, is a really good spend up. SGA, I think, is a really good spend up. I don't know if I have a favorite. Do you happen to have a favorite spend up in the slate? Or are you still on mute? You might still be on mute.
once again, that's 2 in one show. That is tough showing for me today.
One more, we're going to strike you out. And you got to pay attention, too. Like, if you step aside out of the box or you're not looking at the screen for 10 seconds, I'm just going to call you out. That's the new rules.
That's fair. That's fair. That's totally understandable, especially with the crunch time crew coming in 8 minutes. We don't have time for that crap. Darius Garland's definitely my favorite spend up. Evan Mobley, if you consider him one, would be number 2. Kristaps Porzingis, SGA, and CJ McCollum are kind of in a pool together as my third favorites, all in the 30% range.
And you said you're building as if Ingram's out, so McCollum's going to be popping for you, yes?
Yes, exactly. I have him projected right now. I just put it in for 45 fantasy points so that I can make sure I get lots of them.
Should we mention Valanciunas? Just what a mess, right?
I didn't even keep him in my pool today. Like, I'm just done with that guy. You think he's going to be able to stay on the court with Anthony Davis? Absolutely no chance.
It's so he's the minutes are just wild. 20, 16, 6, 31 his last 4 games. That's his minutes. So how many is he going to get tonight? I don't know, man. I'm not on the projection team, but he seems to be one of the tougher ones to project. Nance is healthy. Revenge game for Nance. But like, again, you could make the argument that you want a big against Davis, but like you said, is Valanciunas going to be able to stick with him? I don't know. They're asking about Herb in chat. Herb's fine. I don't know. I'm not excited about Herb though. You have anything to say about Herb? Herb Jones, that is?
5 to 10% Herb. That's about it. Like, I do think it would be so tempting to just give Nance a shot and be like, what if he plays 22 minutes today after playing 8 the first game? Because if he plays 20, was he in foul trouble last game?
There was a game where he had 3 fouls in like the first 3 minutes. I believe that was his first game back, if I'm not mistaken.
So that was his first game back. So that is interesting because I'm almost tempted to just have him as like a guy I put in 1 or 2 lineups for just in case he happens to pop into the 20 minutes range, and at 3.5K, he could absolutely smash there.
I don't think it's wild, but it's also worth noting that's the game where New Orleans fully throttled Portland. It was only a 17-point lead in the end. I thought it was a much bigger spread. Maybe Portland came back a little bit at the end, but he didn't mop up. They only gave him 8 minutes. Like Richardson, Kira Lewis, Dyson Daniels, Garrett Temple. You just got to see what you have in Garrett Temple these days. And Willie Hernangomez those are the moppers. And that's just sort of interesting that he wasn't. And he was coming back from injury, but yeah, they only gave him 8 minutes. So take that for what it's worth. Maybe he's not even a guy that would mop, but also we've seen him do things in 20 minutes, and he's 3.5 on DK, about as low as we've seen him all season long. 2 games until we yield to the crunch time team. Milwaukee and Phoenix. 231 is the total. Phoenix is a 2-point dog here. Both teams on the back half of a back-to-back. I believe both teams traveling as well. Milwaukee coming from Sacramento, Phoenix coming from Golden State. So, not a huge plane, distance for what it's worth. No Middleton. He's got a rest. We're getting Joe Ingles back from his rest. No Dragon, no Goran Dragic. Grayson Allen they gave him a foot. And Phoenix, of course, Durant, everybody else good to go. Craig is probable. Shamit, he's not good to go, but he hasn't been for a while. There are some studs in this game. You can spend up on Giannis Antetokounmpo, who looked incredible last night in his first game back in 4 games or so. Booker hasn't been amazing, not spectacular. Ayton's been all right, but I don't love this matchup here against Lopez. And I guess Lopez is not getting suspended for that little kerfuffle last night. I don't know if you caught that with Trey Lyles. Lyles probably gets something. Lopez was more or less defending Giannis. Milwaukee, Phoenix, go.
I like this one a lot for tournaments. I think it's one of the more interesting games on the slate with 2 of the very best teams in the NBA going toe-to-toe in a close spread at Phoenix. We got a home underdog here. They're going to be fighting to keep this one close. On the Milwaukee side, Giannis is 12K. He's expensive, but I think we have the value to get to him today. And the fact that he's coming in sub 10% owned makes me think he's a phenomenal tournament play today. And I even think guys like Brook Lopez and even Javon Carter and Pat Connaughton can be somewhat in play as value plays without Chris Middleton, without Grayson Allen. And then on the Phoenix side, Devin Booker is one of my favorite contrarian tournament plays on the slate, doing a little Booker Giannis mini stack with the Cleveland and Detroit value. I think that's such a great way to differentiate in tournament today. You play the quote unquote chalky value plays, and then you find 2 sub 10% owned studs going against each other. I really like that tournament build today. And then even Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton are both guys I want to get at least 10% of today. And Josh Okogie and Terrence Ross are both in my pool as well.
That is one of my favorite strategies to implement in single entry, 3-entry max. Like you said, pick 2 stars that are really, really good, but aren't like the ones fully popping. And you know how single ownership gets. Single entry, the best plays, quote unquote, best plays, they get pushed up as far as ownership. And the 3rd and 4th best plays, they just get pushed down. That's just how it works. Because people put their quote unquote best, most optimal lineup in those contests. And I like the thought process. If Giannis is 12% and Booker is 7%, like in a single entry contest, I love that concept. And then you can play all the chalk you want around it. Just have at it. Get all the delicious chalk, and hopefully that stuff hits. Anything else that we should note in this game? I'm trying to see, like Holiday is just really expensive. Man, he's 9-1, so his ownership's at 1%. Just thought it was worth mentioning. And there's no Middleton, but obviously his price got baked up in the absence of Giannis. And that's kind of what's happening here, right? A lot of these players, their prices have risen. Lopez was awesome in the absence of Giannis. Somebody's asking about if Lopez gets suspended. I don't know if he will. I feel like it's kind of too late to do it today. I've not seen if the NBA office has given like a ruling on it, but I'm guessing nothing happens there. But we'll see. I guess Portis would be the guy. Is that fair to say? If we lose Lopez, Portis probably starts and plays center minutes?
Yeah, for sure. I can't imagine that happens for this game.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Okay, let's talk about New York. New York and Portland, 228 is a total. Crunch Time crew coming in a few minutes as well. We do have a questionable Damian Lillard. We have a questionable Jeremy Grant. They're home now. I feel like they're going to play, but I don't know. It's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Jalen Brunson, really, really tight rotations there for New York. No Brunson Burner. Jalen Brunson is out tonight. So, again, we assume that I guess he's officially doubtful. So, yeah, don't quote me on that. I believe he's officially doubtful, but I do not anticipate him playing. Otherwise, New York is fully healthy, and Portland just the 2 studs. Studs? Jeremy Grant? Lillard, stud. Questionable. Your thoughts as far as New York and Portland?
I want to like this game more than I do. It's just there's so much great stuff earlier in the day, and so guys like Randall, Quickly, Barrett, all of them are in play. Even Hart, Robinson, and Grimes, I think, are people you can sprinkle into lineups. I'm just not getting to anyone in much abundance today. Even like when I try and put some minimum exposures here, I find myself not getting even the minimum of these guys in lineup HQ today, just because there's so many other guys I like getting to. And then on the Portland side, it's tough because like Damian Lillard at 10.5K could absolutely smash if he happens to not play. Anthony Simons would be one of the very best plays on the slate. Cam Reddish would be great. Matisse Thybulle would be in play if Jeremy Grant is out. Trendon Watford would be in play if Jeremy Grant is out as well. So this is definitely an interesting one to keep the news on. We did just get word that LeVert and Stevens are going to be the starters for the Cavs, just like we expected. And so this is definitely an interesting game for tournaments, but I don't find myself getting to all that much of it at this point.
Yeah, if Lillard doesn't go, Simons would really spike. We're giving a 43-point projection on Anthony Simons. Flopped over the weekend, but again, that game against New Orleans, I think you can kind of sort of throw it out. That was just a really ugly game. Potential revenge. I think this is first blood, right? First blood revenge for Josh Hart and Cam Reddish. I think this is the first time they're facing each other since the trade. That sound right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, we'll see who's got a little bit of John Wick in them. We'll see who doesn't. Maybe they let Grant sit and let Reddish do his thing. Who knows? But you got to assume like his time in New York obviously was pretty dreadful. He was just a DNP CD a whole bunch of time, despite the fact I believe they traded a first-round pick for him. So good job, New York. Shout out to the Knicks. Anything else we should kind of delve into? Anything else we mentioned before we bring in the Crunch Time people? Let's see. There's some questions lurking in chat. Conscious Machine wants to know, how do you feel about the pace as far as the Cavs and the Hornets? Do they kind of cancel each other out? Hornets play fast. Cavs play super slow. Your general read as far as the pace in that game, the total's really low. Of course, Cleveland plays really good defense as well.
I'm not trying to read it all that much just based on Cleveland's missing a ton of guys, so we don't know really how good they are going to be defensively. We don't really know the pace they're going to play at today. I mean, we're going to assume that it's going to be slow. but no Jared Allen today. And maybe if they're not playing with two centers on the court at all times, then they might be playing a little bit faster. So I'm not trying to look too much into it. They're all projecting great, and I'm trying to get to a lot of them.
Before Roth and Keith and Tim steal all our likes, TJ, give one last pitch so we get on the board. I know Roth likes to keep score. Who's getting whose likes and how many we got them? How many are retroactive to the previous show? It's all one show. It's all the same umbrella. You know, a little bit of synergy here, Roth.
I don't know if that's true. I don't think. That's
Debatable.
Dean.
Tim gets promoted and all the big show, and all of a sudden,
Dean,
you remember where you were yesterday, Tim?
I don't know why you're trying to share the likes when you just had me on the show. We already have over 110 likes. People have been hitting the like button. We don't want to be sharing it with them. We want to set this divide because that way we can get all the credit today.
I'm trying to bring us together here, TJ. Why are you trying to be all divisive?
Capitalism, Dean.
What's up, Roth? How are things in your world?
Things are really good. Big shout out to Ice. You helped me almost take down a tournament last night. I dropped almost 360 or something, which is 360 is pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty solid score. Made some money. So
I'm guessing that was not the Boban lineup.
It was not. It was not the Boban lineup.
Does Andy not get a shout out? No shout out for Andy?
I was about to say also big shout out to Andy because really it was like kind of putting everything together that I learned from both of them. And it's fun having competitive lineups and like at the end of the night having that sweat. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So
aren't you sleeping by like 1 o'clock? You're not watching you wake up in the morning, you see that, right? Or are you actually up and watching the games?
Oh no, I'm up. Yeah, I was watching, but I wasn't even watching the games. I'm just staring at my phone and like, it goes green and I'm like, woo! It's the lamest way to sweat ever. Like I should probably find the game.
Tim and Keith. Keith's definitely up. I know Keith's a night owl, but I don't think you watch. I feel like we talked about this, Keith, right? You don't watch like your currently winning stuff. Is that correct?
Generally not. Late in the night, I'll check it and see if I've got a sweat just so I know what I'm paying attention to. But for the most part, I'm just watching the games, enjoying the basketball.
Yeah. Tim?
Not in basketball, but like in hockey or baseball, I do. I watch the games quite a bit. So
yeah. All right, fair enough.
Because scoring a goal or like hitting a home run in baseball is like such an anomaly. You know what I mean? So it's like when that happens, it's like big stuff. Whereas like there's always stats in a basketball game. But in the other sports, it's like when something big happens, it's huge.
You can only get so excited about a basket. It's like, oh, the basket, we got it.
But that's why basketball's a better sweat is because every single possession, you're like, give me the rebound, hit the shot that he passed it to you. You're literally every play.
I'm exactly that way too.
Yeah, it's
my guy is wide open.
Yeah, right. I'm just staring at my guy. It's like, do something. I think basketball is a super fun DFS sweat because of that.
Maybe I'm just waiting for baseball. Maybe I'm just itching for baseball season.
16 days. 16.
Maybe Roth and I both have ADHD.
Yes, I am confirmed, diagnosed and confirmed. So,
yeah, same here. So there, I think that honestly is the difference right there. Just because this hits on the transition, I want to make sure we don't miss it because Dean and I just talked a lot about it. Brandon Ingram is a game time decision, and he went through his full shoot around today. And so based on that, I don't know for a fact he's going to be in, but based on him going through his full shoot around, I'm going to lower my exposure of CJ McConnell.
I would just add that, again, we talked about it before, but worth mentioning again, the Lakers and New Orleans currently tied in the Western Conference 9-10, jockeying for play-in nonsense. So this game is a big game, theoretically, for New Orleans. And also Brandon Ingram, once upon a time, used to play for the Lakers. Some would call that a revenge game. TJ, you got anything else for the people? We're stepping aside. We're getting out of here.
No, let's step aside and get out of here.
All right, that was TJ. We accumulated all the likes. No more likes. Stop hitting it because that's what TJ wants. Roth, take it over.
Appreciate it. Good stuff as always, Dino and TJ. Welcome to it. This is Crunch Time. It is sponsored by Fanduel. That's why the show is free. And that is why all you got to do to pay is just hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, keep our sponsor happy so we can keep the show free for you. Joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. I never know. I always forget which of you does cash when it's the two of you. Who's doing cash?
I can do it.
All right. We got two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, we got Tim coming in with cash hot takes. What's up, man?
How are you doing? Yeah, it's we're getting right down to it for the end of the season here. Only, what did they say? 15, 16 more days till baseball. That must be a big schedule change for you, Roth, when baseball season started. Oh, you're cringing. I can see you.
It's like I have 6 great months of the. I'm like a bear. Like for 6 months, I get to hibernate and just enjoy life, and then 6 months, on for baseball season, and yeah,
and then the trolls start hitting your DMs, and
And to be
all
fair,
the hate.
I usually like it for the first couple months, and then by like month 3, and I've just had enough of everyone's shit. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm trying here. Shut up. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It's fun to have a little added responsibility. So, but I'm looking forward to this slate because I almost won a tournament last night, and I want to take it down tonight. And for our tournament takes, we got the Iceman in the house. What up, Ice?
Not much. Doing really well today. I'm excited for baseball also. So I'm on Tim's side here. I'm actually headed to the Cubs game, spring training game tonight. A beautiful 80 degrees, awesome day here in Phoenix. So really excited for that.
For whatever reason, I thought you were in Chicago. I was like, a beautiful 80 degrees. What the hell's happening? That makes sense. Yeah, it's spring training.
It's snowing 10 inches outside of my house right now and blowing about 40 miles an hour. So
I don't know how you do it.
I would probably pass out if it was like 65 degrees outside. I'd probably just walk outside and just keel right over. So
well, that sounds fantastic. Spring training's so fun. Like
it is.
It's really, the game doesn't matter, but it's just fun to, I don't know. I like getting drunk and going to spring training games. It's a good time. Let's talk about this slate, gentlemen. We've got quite a few games. I should have tallied them up, but I didn't. So let's kind of dive into your overall thoughts, Tim, if you don't mind. Even before you dive into a build, what are just some general takeaways and thoughts?
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the Detroit Pistons situation. I'm so sick of the Pistons, but we have to, we have to do it. So they have 9 guys right now, and then Kojo is questionable, and that would take them down to 8 guys.
Wow.
And kind of parsing through that situation is going to be pretty kind of difficult because it would give, right now we have Corey Joseph projected for 30 minutes. So that 30 minutes has to go somewhere, and it has to be dispersed to the other 8 remaining players of the Detroit Pistons. I'm not on the projections team. I would say good luck to them because it's not going to be easy. But you got to have exposure to this team in cash games, and I'm assuming Keith's going to say the same thing in tournaments. Like you're going to have. It's only 8 guys. 8-man rotations are rare, and you need to use them. Mm-hmm. So Killian Hayes he's probably a cash game play no matter what. But it would really help a guy like RJ Hampton, who would be close to a cash game, close to a tournament play, in my opinion, anyway. It would really, really help RJ Hampton. I always pronounce his name wrong, Roth, but is it McGruber? McGruber.
McGruber, that's it.
Yeah. So, he wouldn't be a cash game play for me, but he definitely is going to get a lot more minutes. Eugene Omaruri, he's a cash game lock regardless. But if there's only 8 guys, I mean, he's going to play a ton. And then, like a guy like Buddy Boeheim, I think we have him projected for like 25 minutes right now. That's going to go up. So like all these really terrible tanking Detroit guys are going to get like a meaningful enough boost where, they're going to become very, very viable for in all formats. And so it's just it's a really, really important piece of news. And we should be getting that news pretty shortly.
Right.
So,
yeah, I was going to say that the game starts at 5, so we should know very soon what's going down there, right?
Yeah, and then I was going to bring up Brandon Ingram. I'm glad TJ told me about that whole him participating in shoot around. So, because I was kind of leaning towards him being out, but now I feel like I'm kind of more leaning to him being in because I really wanted to get to CJ McCollum today. And I was building both my cash lineup and my single entry team with Ingram out. So I was going to get to some Najee Marshall and I was going to get to some CJ McCollum. But I don't know, that now that becomes a more tricky situation because that game starts at 8:00. So you might have to build like a 2v2 to be able to adjust to that news, because we might not have that until 7:30, something like that.
Okay.
In terms of injuries, Jamal Murray's in, so that kind of takes Bruce Brown out of the equation. I think that's kind of it. The Detroit situation is the most important, and seeing about Corey Joseph and seeing what that starting lineup is.
We did just get some Spurs news. Not that it matters for cash, but just because we have it. Sohan is available to play. Keldon does remain questionable, so still iffy on Keldon.
Okay. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, well, let's dive into a little FanDuel build here. Worth noting, sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their fantastic bonus offer. I'm seeing, according to this read, that you get the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. Devin, double check if that's right or wrong. I may have to update that. The FanDuel Single Entry Series, sponsored by RotoGrinders, that's still going strong. Reserve your spot in the Tuesday NBA Dribbler Contest. $1 to enter for your chance at $300, and the NBA Putback, which is $222 to win $8K. Had I been in a tournament like that last night with my 360, I would have probably won a whole lot of money. Okay, also, I've got the proper bonus code here, by the way. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $20 on any market. Get $200 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. Offer not available in Massachusetts because you get a special bonus. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. So make sure you are doing that. It's a good thing to do. It's that's the kind of money you want to get in on. Let's talk about this slate. Let's go position by position. Let's get some winners. I'm excited. I'm hot. I'm feeling hot.
Yeah. So for point guard, for cash games, I'm starting off with Darius Garland for 8,800. Donovan Mitchell's out. We've got a projected for 36 minutes. Really, really good matchup against Charlotte. It should be. I'm hoping that the game stays somewhat competitive, but I think that Garland has a really, really good floor in this matchup. He also has a ceiling. He's my first guy in. Our projections are our number one points per dollar play and projections is Killian Hayes for 7,000. That's completely fine. I'm fine with starting off with both those guys, but if I have to choose one, like if you want to go with a different type of build, my first guy is Darius Garland. Then we still have Corey Joseph in projections. And that could possibly, switch some things up. But I think there's also guys like Devontae Graham, Monte Morris, kind of in that mid 5 range that are viable for cash games. I don't think I want to go too much higher than Garland. Like there's guys like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Damian Lillard. Yeah, they're great plays. But I think they're a little bit too expensive for cash games. If we knew that Ingram was out, I would say that CJ McCollum is certainly in the cash game conversation. And then, I would really just stay kind of in that kind of 85 to 5K range if I'm looking for cash game point guards tonight.
We've got some news breaking here. Corey Joseph is in. Kelly Oubre is in. Franz Wagner is in. Reggie Jackson is in. So biggest one there, Corey Joseph. Franz Wagner was one I was certainly monitoring as well.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. All right. So that kind of changes. That doesn't really change anything other than I was really hoping it was going to be the RJ Hampton show tonight. But I mean, it still might be, but it's not going to be as good of a play. Moving over to shooting guard, Karis LeVert would be my top play. He's going to be starting.
I'm sorry. Can I stop you real quick? I thought
Sure.
that we were basically planning on him being out and there being an 8-man rotation and everyone's playing cheap Detroit. Now he's in.
So now it's a 9-man rotation.
Well,
and you're
now it's
still
a
playing
9-man
cheap to
rotation.
trade.
They're still good. They're just not as good.
So to put it into perspective, last night they had 10 guys and they were popping. Now Isaiah Livers is also out. So it's an even better situation than it was yesterday.
Yeah, I mean,
even with Joseph in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So now he is a viable play as well, I assume. Maybe
I don't want to say yes to that. I don't think he is, but I'm sure. Like, depends on how many tournament teams I'd be running. Like in cash, I'm not playing Corey Joseph. I guess.
Yeah, his price is kind of adjusted. He's in the 5Ks now. If he was 3,500, we would certainly be talking about him. But because his price is adjusted a little bit, it's tougher.
Okay, fair. I mean, it sucks. He's still going to soak up 30+ minutes, right? I think we've got it projected. So that is definitely a knock on literally everyone else who we were going to play. But all right, you keep rolling. I just wanted to kind of put that in perspective and figure out what that meant exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was confusing you there, but it's so shooting guard, Karis LeVert starting for Donovan Mitchell tonight for the Cavs. He's my plug-in play for cash games, absolutely. I think this is a type of a matchup that he can really excel in. Kind of a up tempo matchup. He would be my number one shooting guard. Emmanuel Quickly, his price is starting to come up. He's he's taken over for your boy Brunson there.
Is Brunson officially out? I saw the Q tag, but I haven't.
I think he's doubtful, right?
Officially doubtful.
Yeah, so so he's out of projections. We're projecting Brunson to be out. So I really like Quickly today. If you want to go up, I think Bradley Beal against Detroit is very, very, very interesting. And then I guess you could play Magruder in cash games if you really, really needed a punt. I think that's a little bit, point chasing, I guess, but he is going to play over 30 minutes tonight. And I think if you really needed a punt, he's okay. Like, I like him better than some of that real cheap, like Cleveland stuff. So, and then I also really like RJ Hampton. And we have him projected for 27 minutes. So he's 4,700. We have Magruder projected way better because we have him projected for 5 more minutes. But I really don't mind RJ Hampton today. I feel like I have talked about RJ Hampton like every single time I'm on a show. I think he's been getting more and more run though. So I think he makes for a strong play today. Could move over to small forward real quick. Yeah, like if you're not going to play LeVert at shooting guard, then you can play him at small forward. Denny Avdia, I like quite a bit. He might be a stronger play on DK, but we'll get to that. I still think he's very, very, very viable on FanDuel. Amarui is 5K on FanDuel. Again, he's probably a better play on DK, but I still think he is very much worth a shot. For cash games, I think that they're definitely using him. Like he's definitely going to be playing over 30 minutes. And I really like these guys that are, they're playing for their jobs, right? Like they don't care that they're tanking. Like he's just out there to play ball. So I really like him in all formats tonight. If you have the salary, you can play Giannis, obviously, but I don't see builds that I love in cash games with him in it. So I'm not really all about him for cash, but obviously you can always play him if you find builds that you like. And then Paulo Banchero against the Spurs. Like I feel like we should have at least one Orlando player against San Antonio tonight. Yeah. So I think he would be my favorite. I was kind of hoping Franz would be out, but he still rates out as a really, really strong play. And then power forward, Porzingis he's rating out as our top points per dollar play. He's 9,000. He to me is like he's a cash game lock. Like, you should definitely be playing him in cash games. He should be able to get what he wants against this Detroit team. They're really, I wouldn't overthink it. He's affordable. He's in a good spot. And then Evan Mobley is another one, like this power forward position, and they're both power forward center on FanDuel. I'm planning on playing both of them. Mobley should really rack up the stocks, which is huge on FanDuel. Like, he should really, this is a really, really good spot for him to rack up blocks and steals. So I think he is a really, really good play. Same thing with Giannis. Anthony Davis is certainly in the conversation, but I don't know if I can quite get up to him. But I mean, if you find a build that you like, I certainly don't mind it. But I'm prioritizing Porzingis and Mobley at power forward. And then center's kind of weird tonight. Like, we don't have the huge, like, Jokic and Embiid. You know, we don't really have those guys tonight. But what we do have is we have Porzingis and Mobley both have its center eligibility. We have Anthony Davis. I really like Wendell Carter Jr. If you're not playing Bonchero, I think you should get Carter as your Magic exposure. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have Jokic tonight, but he is super, super expensive. That's why I kind of like completely disregarded him on FanDuel, because he's just too expensive for cash games. So maybe you can play him in tournaments, but he's way out of the conversation, in my opinion, for cash games. So I think for center, you go one of Porzingis, Mobley, or Wendell Carter. It's like kind of that combination of those three guys that are all center power forward.
Okay, very good. Let's talk tournaments. I'm just building, and there's so much value. So I'm just like, I want Giannis, or I want like Jokic. There's a ton of money, but is that not common? Is that what everyone's doing? What's happening?
I don't think that's what everyone's doing, especially, like, it's a little bit site dependent today. And that's because it's tighter over on FanDuel, which is not what we've seen in years past, but kind of has been the case all season this season. So it's really tough to get up to Jokic. You would have to play a lot of this uncomfortable Detroit stuff, and I don't think that's the optimal way to go today on FanDuel, at least.
Okay.
DraftKings is a different story, but on FanDuel, the pricing is tighter. It's difficult to get up to Giannis and Jokic. So I don't see a need to try and get overweight on any of this Detroit stuff. Again, the prices are starting to adjust. Like, Killian Hayes is no longer 5K. He's 7K. 30% owned Killian Hayes. I'm not in love with that. I don't think I want to try to get overweight on that. I talked about the pivot to the big men on Detroit yesterday, and that worked out really well. Wiseman had a great game. He's showing half the ownership of Killian Hayes. So I would much rather pivot to somebody like Wiseman than play Killian Hayes. And again, this will be a little different on DK, how I'm handling this Detroit stuff. But I also am very interested in the other side of this game in Washington stuff. Tim talked about Porzingis a ton. I think he's a fantastic play. The ownership is coming with it. It's not necessarily coming with guys like Bradley Beal, Denny Avdia, even Monte Morris, I think, is a viable cheap play. Been splitting minutes a little bit with DeLon Wright, but he has been the starter here recently. I think 5K is a viable price tag for Monte Morris. So I'm making sure that I'm running back any of these chalkier Detroit guys with somebody on Washington. I absolutely love the Cleveland stuff. Just a fantastic spot for them against a fast-paced Charlotte team that doesn't play any defense. No Donovan Mitchell, no Jared Allen. So Garland is a smash play. Mobley is a smash. LeVert is a smash. I think some of the cheaper stuff is more viable on DK, but you have, like, on FanDuel here, Lamar Stevens is 4K. He's in play. He doesn't do a ton while he's out there, but he's probably going to be out there for somewhere around 30 minutes tonight. Same for a guy like Isaac Okoro. Not comfortable stuff, but certainly don't mind them as pivots to some of the Detroit guys who are coming in a little higher owned. And then nobody's playing the other side of this game in Charlotte. And I get it. Cleveland is considered a tough matchup and they are when they're full strength. But without Jared Allen, no Donovan Mitchell, do they really play as one of the slowest teams in the NBA tonight? It's possible that they do, but I'm willing to take shots on really low-owned guys. Nick Richards is a great pivot for me. He's 6,200 on FanDuel at a fairly weak center position if we can't get up to Jokic. No Mark Williams. Nick Richards should start and has an opportunity to play over 30 minutes tonight. Let's see here. Like Terry Rozier has a ceiling. The price tag is not comfortable, 8,500, but he can pay that off if the game stays close. And if it does stay close, he's probably one of the guys that is helping it do so. So I like running Cleveland stuff back with Charlotte. And then a couple other games that I'm targeting. I love Brooklyn, OKC. Mikal Bridges being the alpha on this offense is a trend that we have seen over several weeks now. Feel really good about Mikal Bridges. SGA is priced up here on FanDuel. I'm going to talk about him a lot more on DK, but I do like him on FanDuel as well. Jalen Williams is a guy who's just been playing awesome recently. So I like using a piece from each side of this Brooklyn OKC game. And then I liked the Lakers New Orleans game more when we thought Ingram was going to sit. Kind of seems like it's trending towards Ingram's going to play now. So trying to pivot some of that. Orlando San Antonio is a great place to look. Tim talked about Banchero. Completely agree. He's a great play. Fulton play for me. And then on the other side, was hoping that we got some Sohan and Keldon out for the Spurs as well, so we could have some attractive run backs. Still waiting on Keldon news, but Sohan has officially been ruled in. Devontae Graham is the one guy I would still play, even if everybody's in. Just really cheap. Has been doing a lot for this Spurs team. If Keldon is out, I will have a ton of exposure to Devontae Graham, but still monitoring that news. And then very similar to last night, the last two games of the night, just nobody's playing them outside of a little exposure to Giannis. But again, just like last night, way lower owned than Giannis really should be, especially with Chris Middleton out again. Yes, tough matchup against Phoenix, but I talked about game environment last night. When you have two competitive teams that are going to play each other closely all game long, you have stars that can find that ceiling. Giannis did it last night. Sabonis did it on the other side of that game. It was exactly what I'm talking about. Like when you have two stars just going back and forth, it's something I always want exposure to. So a stack like Giannis Booker, it's really expensive. It's difficult to get to, but that just means it's going to be really low owned. I like Julius Randle in the last game as well. With no Brunson, he has a massive ceiling. If Lillard plays, you can certainly run it back with Lillard. And if Lillard is out, then Anthony Simons is going to be one of the better values on the slate.
Okay, very good. I think I need to give you credit, by the way, for last night. I meant to say this, but didn't you say you really loved the kind of pivoting the superstars in Boston and getting off a little bit of, of Tatum and onto Brown?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
How'd that work out?
It worked out pretty well.
Yes. Excellent work.
Thank you. Also love the Houston guys once Şengün got ruled out. And then if you paid attention later in the night, Meansy mentioned it early in the show that it's possible they started Jabari Smith at the 5 and Eason at the 4, which they hadn't done all season long. That's what ended up happening. And Jabari Smith at the 5 absolutely smashed. So that was another really good thing that happened last night.
Good stuff. I don't mean to harp on our wins, but that was good stuff. So, okay. Well, let's kick it on over to DK here. And we've got about 15 minutes to lock. So Tim, if you could walk me through a build somewhat quickly on DK, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, so I'll just go over some differences. Really, I mean, there's some similarities. Keith already kind of alluded to it. The pricing's a little bit softer on DK, and then I also Keith alluded to. I really wanted to talk about SGA on DK. Like, he's not a cash game play on FanDuel, but on DK, yeah, I'd definitely sign me up in any kind of format. He's way too cheap, 9,400. He should play around 35 minutes. He could absolutely just break this slate. So I'm really high on him for in any kind of format. So that's one big difference. Darius Garland is still a guy that I definitely want in cash games. I would try to start for point guards. I would try to do Shea and Garland those would be my two guys. I have to mention RJ Hampton again because he's even cheaper on DK. He's only 3,300. I think you can definitely play him in cash games. Very, he's gonna play. He's gonna play minutes. So I think, and you're gonna need a little bit of a punt today. Karis LeVert, shooting guard, same idea. Going up against Charlotte, he's only 5K. He's a really, really strong play. So it's very, very similar. I really like Wendell Carter Jr. He's only center eligible on DK, which makes it a little bit easier because you can still play guys like Mobley and Porzingis at power forward, and then you can play Wendell Carter at center, and then Omarui for Detroit is definitely a cash game cornerstone play, 3,800. I think that you should be playing definitely 2 Detroit players in cash games. I think you should be playing 2 Detroit players and two Cleveland players in cash tonight.
Okay, very good. Let's talk DK tournaments. We still have about 12 minutes left here. Is this where I can, because I'm double spending. Like, I'm not kidding. I have Jokic and Giannis.
Yep.
And like, I don't even feel like the rest of my lineup sucks. I have the 2 most expensive players, and I like all my other plays.
I completely agree with you. I'm totally on board with that strategy today. Didn't like it on FanDuel. It's difficult to do. The cheap Detroit stuff isn't cheap enough. That's not the case here on DraftKings.
Gotcha.
Omarui at 3,800. He's going to play 35 minutes tonight. Just an absolute smash. Magruder, I know he doesn't do a ton, but he's going to play over 30 minutes tonight. Corey Joseph is 5,300. I still don't love that, but he's in play more for me here. I like both of the bigs again here on DraftKings. The Wiseman price is getting up there, so I actually kind of prefer Duren in this matchup tonight. And then Killian Hayes at 6,200, like definitely playable. So I'm not as into fading Detroit here on DraftKings, especially the 3K guys. Omaruri is a guy that I would play at least double the field, 60%. I have him in 80% right now. Like he makes everything work. He feels pretty safe. Like there's so much usage to go around. Like we talked about yesterday, like somebody on Detroit is going to end up smashing here. I would play up to 3 of them in any given lineup. And then same as I mentioned on FanDuel, running that back with a Washington guy. Avdia is really cheap, 4K. Love him tonight. Porzingis is far too cheap, 8,700. And like, he's just going to tear this Detroit team apart. Buell is fairly priced at 8,200. There's a lot of options here on Washington to run back the Detroit chalk with. So I feel like I can differentiate that way. Same in the Cleveland-Charlotte game. Talked about it on FanDuel, but doing it over here on DK as well. Nick Richards, my favorite run back. Also have a little bit of Terry Rozier, a little bit of Dennis Smith Jr. Tim mentioned SGA and that price. I just want to hammer that home. Like SGA is a 10K player with what he does for this Oklahoma City team. There was some chatter about the minutes being monitored down the stretch, and it just has not been proven to be true. What they meant by resting is he's going to sit back-to-backs. When he's active, he's still going to play his 35, 36 minutes. He's got an awesome matchup against Brooklyn. I love SGA tonight. I love running it back with Bridges or Dinwiddie as well. So a nice little mini game stack there. Let's see here. What else is different? A lot of.
Can I ask a question, Keith? I mean,
go ahead.
we have him for 11. We have SGA for 11% owned on DK. Like, I hope that holds, right? I mean,
I hope it holds too. Yeah,
right.
He's
I mean,
half my lineups.
I know it seems low. So,
yeah, I think he probably comes in closer to 20. Like I think he's going to be higher on than that. But maybe the Cleveland stuff keeps, like Garland, I think is the key piece that could keep people off of him.
That's true.
Okay.
I mean that's about it. Yeah, go ahead. We can move on to questions. I think I've covered pretty much everything I want to cover.
Okay, very good. Getting some questions in. Notably, Darren says Denny is not starting. Can we still play him? Was that our projection?
Let me check if it was projected. You can absolutely still play him. We did have him projected to come off the bench.
Okay, so not an issue. Cash or tournaments, you can still play him.
Yep,
absolutely. I think you can still play him.
Yep. Okay. A couple people have asked that already. And then Ronnie says, I've got 300 left on the table. Is that an issue for cash games? 300 is not a problem, right? That's fine.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, that's not an
We
issue.
just
All
got
right.
a Pistons lineup, and RJ Hampton is starting. It's Hayes, Hampton, Magruder, Omari, and Wiseman.
Okay. What does that tell you?
That tells me I would not play Corey Joseph, and Tim's call of playing RJ Hampton is in cash is viable.
Good, because that got me a lot of RJ Hampton. So, all right, excellent. 3-3 on DK. Okay, excellent. Let's dive into the RG Discord. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. It's free content. All we ask is that you hit us with a little thumbs up on occasion. Let's run it on over to the RG Discord, get into some of these QQs. I'm scrolling up just a wee bit here. We'll start here. Tim, can you rank your favorite Pistons for cash?
Hayes, Hampton, Omaruri. Okay, so Omaruri, Hayes, Hampton.
Okay, very good. And it's like a follow-up question, not related. He says, and you said 2 Cavs, Garland, Mobley, and LeVert aren't locks?
Yeah, so that's fine if you want to do that. That's totally fine. But what I was saying is min 2 of Cleveland, min 2 of Detroit. But you can certainly absolutely play 3. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. FanDuel GPP, McGruber or Hampton?
Hampton.
Okay. FanDuel cash question is a 3v3 for you, Tim. Ingram, Boncaro, McGruber, or Abdia, Bridges, Barrett?
I don't really like either one of them, but the one with Boncaro.
Okay, very good. NBA DFS FanDuel cash question, Tim. Boheim and Bridges or quickly Okaji?
The first one.
DKGP.
For what it's worth, I know Boeheim was projecting fairly well early in the day with Corey Joseph in now. Like he's so low per minute, and now he's probably only going to play 20 minutes. I don't think Boeheim's in play at all.
Okay, good note. Good note. Okay, D-Rock says DKGPP, Magruder and Stevens or Hampton and Abdia?
Hampton and Abdia.
Jep says DKGPP, Richards, SGA, and Claxton or Carter,
Yes.
Hayes, Zinger?
First one.
Okay, Ice Yappy says, in a GPP on DK, how many Cavs should I keep it at per lineup?
I think you could feel good about 3. I probably wouldn't exceed that just because I generally don't like to go beyond 3 unless you have super cheap value. I like 2 of the guys I know I want to play are Garland and Mobley, who are in that 8K range. So I'd probably keep it to 3.
Would you make a rule, Keith, like min 2 for a rule or no?
I would min 1 for sure.
Yeah.
I think min 2 is viable too. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Crossover King, Ice, with the tight FanDuel pricing, will ownership still be spread on the mid-tier, or would you be looking at a Stars and Scrubs build in single entry?
I think you're going to have difficulty outscoring the mid-tier build on FanDuel because of what you have to do to get up to Jokic or even Giannis or Anthony Davis. You just have to sacrifice too much at the bottom end to outscore an underpriced Evan Mobley at 8,200. It's just the mid-range build makes sense today on FanDuel.
Very good. FanDuel cash question, Tim. We got about 4 minutes left here. 2v2, Morris, Barrett, or Hayes and Eugene?
The second one.
Okay. DK cash, right back at you. 3v3, Abdia, Beal, SGA, or Dinwiddie, Richards, and Zinger?
The first one. But I wish that you'd be playing Zinger in cash also. But It's the first one.
Okay.
Real quick,
DK
I just
cash
realized
question.
I did not talk about Jokic on DK. I love Jokic on DK. I said don't like him on FanDuel. Very much in play on DK. Dude's been awesome lately. The usage disappeared for a while. It is completely back now. All kinds of MVP chatter. Jokic on DK. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good note. Good note. All right. Fit Crooks, DK cash question. Another 3v3 coming our way here. This one is Hayes, Carter, Abdia, or Magruder, SGA, and Stevens?
The first one, even though I really like SGA.
Okay. Jay Sams, this is a FanDuel question. We'll call it a GPP, though. I don't know. He says, RJ Barrett over Wagner. Side note, I already have Fultz and Quickly in this lineup.
Yeah, I that was DK.
This was a FanDuel. RJ Barrett over Wagner.
Let me see his price on FanDuel. Like the price is coming up, but I think there's still upside. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, very good. JC says DK Cash, Abdia or Omaruri.
Omaruri.
Very good. All right. Going to jump on over to the YouTube chat, see if I can pull a couple questions from there real fast. Javon Watt says on FanDuel, I'll call this a GPP question as well. You like Quickly or Levert?
I love the pivot too quickly. Much lower ownership. Good spot.
Okay. Flying Armbar, any love for Duran on GPPs on FanDuel? I think somebody said yes. Or
Absolutely.
Nick Richards.
I love them both.
Nick Richards? Oh, very good. Okay. DK GPP, should I play Book or SGA?
I need a little more context there.
Right. Play whoever you want. Run it back. Like it's if you're playing either one of those guys, you want to run it back, right?
Yes, I would agree with that. Like SGA has a much friendlier price. So in a vacuum, he's the better play. If his ownership holds true, the answer is SGA, regardless of context.
Okay. Good stuff. Beal or Bridges, last man in? We'll call this a cash question. Tim?
Beal.
Okay. See, scrolling down for some more comments here. DK single entry GPP, Hampton or Magruder? It's Hampton at this point, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you like Sohan? Right, he was just ruled in. Do you like playing him on DK?
I do. Definitely prefer him over Vassell, who just hasn't done anything since coming back from injury. Sohan's seen nice usage when he's played here recently.
Okay, less than a minute until lock. DK GPP, big field. You okay with DSJ run back with Cleveland guys?
Yes.
Fultz or Quickly in a FanDuel GPP?
Quickly.
Very good. Seconds away from lock, and I think we caught up on just about all the questions, gentlemen. That was excellent work. We just like spammed the chat, and it essentially says, give us a thumbs up if you like this content. It's free content. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz just giving out free content. All we ask is you hit that little thumbs up button over there. See if we get any last second questions. I think we are pretty good, pretty in the clear here. Any news, Ice, that we're waiting on that could completely change things that I need to be like keeping in mind as I go through the night?
Brandon Ingram is still technically questionable.
Yeah.
Like I said, trending towards playing, but that would be a big deal. And Damian Lillard's questionable as well with Jeremy Grant in the last game of the night.
Okay, so if Lillard is out, I'm playing that other guard. What's his name?
Simons.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if Ingram is in, then we're just getting off guys. Is that it? Or we're playing Ingram?
No, I don't have a ton of interest in playing Ingram. If Ingram is out, you want CJ McCollum. Trey Murphy absolutely went nuts in the last game without him. Najee Marshall's really cheap. So the Pelicans become great values if Ingram gets rolled out. Otherwise, you're probably not playing any Pelicans.
Okay, very good. I feel like that's a good way to close things out. With that, we're going to bounce on out of here. So for Ice and for Tim and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.